This is the Lyndsay Stafford Show.
Welcome back to the Lyndsay Stafford Show. I'm here today with one of my good friends, Dilyse Diaz, who's a licensed psychotherapist. And she is really a master of mindset and helping you to create a life that you love. And when I think about Dilyse, it's about manifestation of what is it that you want your life to look like. So this is going to be a little bit different than a traditional podcast here. We are going to probably talk about failures and some failures that have happened. But I want to take advantage of her expertise. She's been nationally recognized and on national TV. I can't even go through all of her accolades, or we probably wouldn't get through the episode. But I want to take advantage of having her here to talk through some of the things that she encounters. How many years have you been doing this, Dilyse?
About 28 now.
So 28 years of like getting inside people's heads and helping them to transform their life. And I know your story too, and your personal transformation. But I want to take advantage of that today and actually talk through some of the challenges that you have actually encountered that are pretty common, that most of our listeners may either have been going through, are going through, or know somebody who's going through in their personal world.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, so happy to have you here. You are such the day we met, I have to go back to like the first day we met at a networking group, the BNI group, which you're now a member of. And I just so happened that I had a reschedule after that. And not often that I just am like, oh, I happen to be free for lunch today. Do you want to have lunch?
And we went for it.
And we did. And like, I was like, we're going to be friends. And
I know
you have so much to offer. Don't hold it against her because she did move here from California, but she is in Tennessee now, living on this beautiful property, married to the love of her life, who is just a gem. I don't personally know him, but I know enough about him, and I know enough about Dilyse to know he's a gem. But Dilyse, talk to us a little bit about how you entered this space.
Oh man, okay, so when I was 15 years old, I really struggled in my own personal life. And without getting into a complete backstory, a therapist saved my life. And I thought to myself, my goodness, if somebody could take the world that I came from, where it felt very dark, and mind you, on the surface, everybody saw my life as golden, and they looked from the outside in and said, you know, she's probably got a perfect life going on. I was a cheerleader. I got good grades. I was well liked. And the reality was there was a lot of chaos in my home growing up. And as we know, there's so much that happens behind closed doors that people don't talk about. Yeah. So a therapist really transformed my life. And by the way, the first experience with a therapist was actually horrible. And just as I would like to convey the message today, if you find a therapist that you don't click with, there are personalities galore. There's many types of therapists that you could connect with, and you need to find one that can really protect your privacy and help you feel safe and understood. And that is what the second therapist that I was introduced to when I was a teenager did for me. And I thought to myself, if I could do that for one other person to come from that dark space and help someone see the light, that's what I want to spend my life doing. And of course, I believe it is my God-given purpose. That's why I've been through everything that I've been through, to get me to where I am today and to be able to lead and teach others how to do the same for their life. So it was a very transformative, pivotal, defining moment in my life for sure.
Well, you have this innate ability to make people feel heard in a conversation, whether it's just a conversation in passing or a conversation where you and I have discussed like real emotional things, right? Yeah. And you have this innate ability to make people feel heard and to validate emotions, but also push in the right direction of yes and not
thank you,
but yes and let's talk about how we move past that. And you are a master at mindset. So you work with couples and individuals. I want to talk a little bit about that stigma around therapy. We've talked about this in the past. I know people. Go ahead.
It keeps people from coming in and actually getting the help that they need, which is such a bummer. And if I could communicate one thing today, it would be about, changing the mind about what therapy actually means. It's not about weakness. It's not about failure. It's really about what tools can you learn to improve your relationship so that you can communicate more effectively and you can resolve conflict without going through years of banging your head against the same wall, expecting a different outcome. So I'm all about that today. So bring it on.
Well, I feel like there's this negativity, particularly with men, especially of like, I'm weak if I do that. And I'm just picking one of the reasons that people don't, whether I don't want to explain to somebody else. I don't want an outside opinion. They don't know me. I mean, there's probably a million different reasons that people give for avoiding therapy. But I can think about the so many people in my life that'll say, well, so-and-so, like my partner or my spouse won't go to therapy, but we have this like big issue in our marriage or in our relationship. And this person won't do anything other than talk to me about it. And I'm not a licensed therapist. I don't know how to deal with that. Right. And the other thing that I think there's a lot of hesitancy on is to deal with things from childhood. Do you think, Dilyse, you're the expert here. Do you think that everyone, no matter how great your childhood was, that you have things to process from it?
100%. There's not one person who's immune to some form of trauma. People think trauma has to be the capital T, the big events that are very obvious. But honestly, I deal with people who are adults who literally can remember the names they were called when they were a little child. And that somehow locked in a belief inside of them that they must be whatever it was that, that imprinted into their life. Right. I want to circle back to what you said about, men and coming into therapy. I think stereotypically it's a little.
Maybe that's my experience with people in my life that I've talked to. It could just be that.
I think there is a generalization that we can safely say that there is more of a stigma of looking weak, right? Just like little boys shouldn't cry, so to speak. What a myth that is. It's right, like, why would anybody have, less feelings if you're a certain gender? So what I would like to say about that, though, is that it's not for lack of wanting to change why people don't come in. It's really a protective mechanism about this is my identity and the fear of what is it going to mean if I actually change. A lot of people are so connected to their identity of struggle or their identity of who they are in relation to what they've always known. And it's really this unfamiliar territory that scares people. And something I really like to emphasize with people is that in that unknown territory that people fear is actually where every solution, where every answer lies. So if we could just shift their thinking to believe that, okay, the unknown is not scary. The unknown is where every bit of where I want to land is, then they can move into that space with less of a resistance and more of a curiosity. Because if we could shift their mind to being curious about something instead of protecting from a self-judgment or protecting from judgment of what they might believe the therapist might say. So yeah, you're 100% accurate. We come into life with all these experiences from childhood that shape us and form us. And it's either going to allow you to be free to explore new ideas, or you're going to protect from them and you're going to be resisting change.
How hard is it? Like, what is it like when somebody's gone through, I'm not talking about physical or emotional, like crazy abuse, negative childhood. Like I'm not talking about the extreme cases, which would obviously be a different situation. I'm talking about, you had parents that were there, they cared, but like, they're human and they obviously left some scars unintentionally, probably. What does that process look like with you?
depending on what age group I work with, right? We'll assume that they're now adults and they come in, right?
Sure,
I do work
yeah.
with kids, and that's a whole different ballgame. But when adults come in, I really help them understand the power that they have now in their lives. Undoubtedly, their parents did something that I have 4 kids. So I like to think I was an amazing parent, but I can tell you with certainty that my kids have complaints. I'm sure of it about me. And I worked really hard. I am in the field and I wanted to be as wonderful and as attuned of a parent as I could be. But you know what? Everybody's an individual. And so they will have their perspective. And so coming into therapy, I like helping people feel empowered about, okay, so today, what are you in charge of? Because when you stay stuck in blame, or if you're complaining about your parents for the next 10 years, that's not going to help you become a successful human. So I help people look at what responsibility they have for their life now and what they could do differently so that they feel happy and empowered, because my whole purpose in what I teach people, external factors and the conditions around you do not have to determine how peaceful and happy and successful you are. So that's the big shift, right?
I love that.
Yeah. Looking outside yourself is going to keep you stuck. But when you can see what tools and things you could do differently in your life, then you could feel in control.
Yeah.
That's what I help people do.
Empower them to know how to take control.
100%.
And be in control. I saw this thing the other day. Somebody sent, one of my clients sent it to me. It was like constantly be learning, because if you're not in a place of learning, you become stagnant and bored. And like, you know, I'm an entrepreneur. This podcast is really tailored towards entrepreneurs. You obviously are as well. I think I would consider myself a constant learner. There's always something I'm doing that's hard. I just signed up to play golf with my husband, my dad, and my brother on Sunday.
I love it.
I've only played a handful of times. I'm not very good at all. Like I would be considered terrible.
You not good at it? I don't know.
No, I'm not
good.
You're
good at everything.
I'm
Lyndsay.
really not. I'm not good, but my only goal is to make contact with the ball. And if I can do that, that's a success. But I know people that are like, I'm not doing that. I'm not good at that. I don't want to put myself in that place. And I approach it like, I want to be uncomfortable and have to learn a new skill and listen to someone who knows more than me, because it lowers me down to go, I don't know everything. And I'm in this learning mindset, right? And I think that's part of why people become comfortable, even though they're comfortable being unhappy or uncomfortable with their life.
Phrase
right?
I use all the time, is being comfortably uncomfortable. And that is, for some reason, in intimate relationships, which are our closest relationships, right? We can all be a certain way in a big crowd or with surface level relationships. But when we get into that deep, intimate, kind of close relationship, that's when all the childhood ugly comes in, where we then have insecurities where maybe we wouldn't otherwise, where we have vulnerabilities like, oh, they will really see who I am. And maybe they won't, maybe they'll reject me like I got rejected by, this parent. So that's exactly right. If you have a mindset that is open to, again, being curious and learning, everything is possible for you. I would love for people to realize that therapy, and I'll be honest, I don't work like most therapists. I don't focus on the dysfunction or the dis-ease. I don't focus on what's wrong. My whole practice is on what could we set you up for to go right, and what solutions could we come up with. I am very, very well known for thinking outside the box, and where people feel like, I have no idea how I'm going to resolve this, I can tell you that when we work together, we'll come up with an idea that you feel better about, and you have tools. You have actual, tangible, practical tools to put into your everyday life so that you can function better. And the key is, when you're happier, your relationships are better, your career elevates, and everything in life just feels so much more at peace. And that's the way I think that everybody, if you could be curious all the time.
So let's talk a little bit about, I love tools. I'm not a licensed psychotherapist, but I always teach best, worst, and most likely. Like when, as humans, we kind of tend to think about worst case scenario. Like we get bad news and we're like, oh, worst case is this, that's what's going to happen. Right. Or something doesn't go as planned. It's like, oh, the worst thing that's going to happen. And I have taught my kids and clients to think, what is the best case scenario? What is the worst case? And then what is most likely, so that you're not only thinking about worst case, right? Share a couple of your favorite tools that you give people to keep their mindset right and focused on what they can control.
Something that is so incredibly basic that anybody could do it. I would recommend two things. I mean, I kind of joke about this because I have 3 degrees and a licensure, and it boils down to looking at the difference of what's okay with you in your life and what's not okay with you. A lot of people don't understand. They just go about life. They operate on default, and they're the victim of circumstances. And I say, number one thing, slow down, spend 5 to 15 minutes of quiet time, get rid of your cell phones, no technology, and sit quietly with yourself and your breath. And I can tell you, people will hear this and they'll be like, okay, that's simple, it's free, it's easy. But for whatever reason, because it's not built in maybe to their habits of how they do life, they'll forego it. And I cannot tell you that that is probably the single most important tool that you could do, is quiet your mind and listen. Whether you're a spiritual person or not, it's that connection with your inner self, with your guidance system, with God if you're a believer, or source energy, however it is that you connect with yourself, then you will have that ability to listen and that inspiration, and you will have a whole different experience of slowing the world down so that you can start hyper focusing on what feels good in your life and what doesn't. Instead of just complaining and being irritated and that person and this person, it's like, okay, slow it down. What's okay with me? What's not okay? What do I want?
Love that.
What do I not want?
We wake up in the morning. Most people wake up and grab their phone. And it's like, I don't do that. I turn my alarm off and then, it's gone. But I teach my clients, don't touch your phone. Like you need to have those boundaries and get your head right. And it's amazing what you're talking about is this constant roller coaster that we're on, this always stimulated, always going. We don't know when or how to slow down. And when we do, we think we're taking a break, decompressing, detoxing on our phones.
Right.
Versus what you just said, which is just taking time to be quiet and just feel and center and regroup and meditation or whatever it is you want to do. I'm not good at meditating. My sister's really good at that. But whatever it takes for you to get centered to be able to think about where you want to spend your energy. Absolutely.
And speaking of meditation, I use that term all the time, and I follow it up with saying meditation is simply quieting your mind. It's becoming aware of what is going on in your mind. If you have thoughts that come in, notice the thoughts. It's called mindful meditation, actually, where you notice your thoughts and then you just release them and let them go. But come back to a place of just stillness with your breath. And I promise what happens in that quiet moment of just breathing and being aware of your breath, that solution to the problem, when you're not really trying to wrestle the problem to the ground, but all of a sudden the solution that you've been looking for, that idea will pop into your mind, or a person to connect with will come to you. And then those are the moments that we want to really just hone in on and gravitate towards. Now, taking it up a level in that quiet time, if you could find a place in your body of gratitude. I know people talk, it's sort of, the thing to talk about, well, focus on what you're grateful for. It's not just thinking about the things you're grateful for. It's really feeling it in your body, because what you feel and what you think becomes a physical reality.
Right.
And that is something I will spend my time with all my clients, teaching them how to be the creator of their reality, not the victim of it.
Well, it goes back to that point is exactly true. Think about, I forget what it was I told, I know, my husband. Okay, so I don't know what this flower is called. but we recently did our backyard. We put a pool in with Kevin Sparks, and
I saw it. It's beautiful.
Thank you. They did a great job. We love it. It's all about, for us, it's all about creating space for us to be together as a family and bring, the kids together. And it's all about family and experiences. But I bought these fake pink flowers, and I don't know what they're called. But I said I really never even noticed them before. And now that I bought them for my backyard, I see them everywhere. They are at every house.
That's law of attraction right there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Exactly. When you start thinking about it and manifesting it, you bring it to you.
Right. So manifesting is creating. People mistakenly think that I want to manifest, $1 million. I want to manifest a great relationship. Okay, we are creating, AKA manifesting all the time. Our thoughts become things.
Yep.
If people could guard their thoughts, think about that. If you're thinking about irritating things, then all of a sudden you'll start seeing all the things to be irritated about. Right. If you're thinking about how you always have the best luck, you'll find money on the ground. Like, that's how law of attraction works. So it's harnessing your thoughts. And this is so much easier said than done. It takes practice of disciplining yourself to think thoughts that cause you to feel better. Think better feeling thoughts. That's an Abraham Hicks thing. Think better feeling thoughts. And if you think about what that means, if you're irritated, find something about that situation inside of yourself that could feel better.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to take that and apply it to couples.
Yeah, let's do it. I was going to go there too. So
yeah, absolutely. So if you're irritated with somebody, say you live with, spend that 5 to 15 minutes getting yourself thinking about and remembering what you love about that person. What is so amazing about them? What do they do well? What do they do right? Why did you fall in love with them in the first place? I can tell you, if you spend your thoughts and that time conjuring up feelings in your body of love, then there's no way you can hold that vibration of irritation towards them. And if you want to shift your energy, which will shift the relationship, you can go back. And this is not about faking it. This is about really finding things, instead of complaining like, oh, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. Sit there and start remembering what they did do, and you'll soften your own energy, and then you'll soften the way that you show up with that person, and it's going to create a whole different outcome.
Yeah.
It's something you can tangibly try.
Yeah, it goes back to just taking the time to process. And I think as we become better versions of ourselves, we hopefully continue to have more and more emotional control and emotional maturity. And, the people that they get a message or somebody says something and it's like they fire right back.
Right.
And it's not processing it or thinking about the outcome. It's just, what kind of person I'm talking about, right? Like somebody sends you a text and instead of, okay, I'm feeling some emotions around that, I'm going to sit with that. And
well, right there, what you just said, I'm going to sit with that.
Yeah.
That's the smartest thing you could do. Can I share a little technique that will help everybody?
That would be great.
Okay. So picture emotions on a scale 0 to 10. I'll make this a concise version. I actually have a little masterclass on my website that you can tap into and hear the whole version of it. But
awesome.
If you're at a very charged emotional place, you are above a 3. Okay. So 0 to 3 is like a little emotional speed bump. That's annoying. That's frustrating. Oh, that's a bummer. That's a 0 to 3. You really do want to live in that space.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you are so angry and you are maybe crying or you're shaking or you feel your body reacting, you're certainly above a 3. Okay. So I teach people, couples really specifically, that when they feel emotionally charged, you say to your partner, you know what, I'm above a 3. So I'm going to go take the time and process what's going on for me. Because here's what's happening when you're above a 3. You're into your history. You just stepped on a landmine of something that felt familiar from your past that is unresolved. and unhealed. And then you're reacting from that space, from your past.
Mhm.
So I tell people, okay, total professional term, zip it. Don't say anymore.
Yeah.
So you basically then have to kind of process in your body what just happened. Why is that upsetting to me? And then in that time, it takes your body, by the way, 55 minutes to chemically get you back to what we call homeostasis or baseline of being able to process things. I don't know how techie you want to get, but your prefrontal cortex, I think a lot of people know, is your rational mind. The back brain, your amygdala, is your emotional mind. So you basically, when you are above a 3, you're in your emotional mind. Your thinking mind, your prefrontal cortex, is offline. It cannot process or think logically. So that's why I say when you're above a 3, just stop, zip it, and say, okay, I'm going to take some time to process this. So when you take that moment, that 55 minutes to getting your brain back online, you can then make a request and come back to the situation and say, okay, here's what's going on for me, and here's what I'd really love us to be doing instead. And then you make a date, talk about what could, take place, and then that's when you practice your communication. But if you have that tool, then I'm above a 3. It's just a little flag that time out, go do your thing, and then come back and process how you could approach the situation with some logic instead of just emotional reactivity. Yeah. Emotional reactivity, you're going to say things that you regret, and you're going to cause more damage. So if you know how to just push pause, that is emotional maturity, and that is something that has to be learned. So a lot of people, what do? It's ego. Let's power struggle it out, and let's fight about who's right.
It's exhausting.
Right? So you could be right, or you can have a relationship. A mentor of mine taught me that a long time ago. You could be right, or you can have a relationship. So think about what that means. Yeah. A lot of negotiation and compromise in that, right?
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about, there's 2 topics I want to talk about. So I'm kind of going back and forth in my head here. I think I'd like us to talk about failing in relationships. The topic is failure. Obviously we know divorce rate is extremely high.
It's almost 70%.
Okay, 70%. That's insanity. Insane. What do you see as the failures in a marriage that could be avoided?
Oh my goodness, so
I didn't
many.
prepare you for that.
Right. Well, I mean, think about it. I think, again, being afraid to look at whatever's going on for you is going to be the obstacle that's the demise of the relationship. I think you can have 2 people with pasts that are difficult and with all kinds of issues, but if you have 2 willing people to be honest and look at what's going on for them, the healing could be greater with those 2 people than if you just tap out and give up, right? And it goes back to what are the reasons why people won't go into therapy: fear of judgment, fear of being vulnerable, fear of losing their identity. So that is the very thing that causes failures. I don't think that necessarily, 2 people getting divorced, when people say, oh, I have a failed relationship, I'm sure you learned a lot. I don't even like to frame it as failure, but I would encourage people who are in a relationship to really just be honest and open and work out whatever it is that they've been. It's a fear, Lyndsay, to look at, if I really look at my past, I'm going to really have to face how terrible I really am. And that's just it's a belief that was built up over time. So the failure would be to not be brave and courageous and look at you said it in the beginning of this. There's not one person that comes into this lifetime flawlessly or without error or without so many mistakes. And there's a thing called shadow self. And the shadow self is the part of you that people deny, they avoid, they try to push away. And that's the part that needs to be embraced by the person. And if you don't, then you're going to experience what you call failure in relationship or failure in being the best version of themselves. Because that shadow self, that part that they're avoiding, hiding, or ashamed of, shame is huge, by the way, then they're not going to be able to just love and accept themselves as they are. So when you can't do that, then you deal with unworthiness, then you deal with insecurity, and all of those things cause what we'll call failure. And I would like to look at that as really blocking them from being the best version of themselves. And you know this in being an entrepreneur and being a wife and being a mom. It's so important to just go, yeah, this is me, flaws and all, and I'm doing all I can to be the best version of myself by growing and learning. And that's enough. It's when people think that it's not enough, or they stop themselves, or they judge themselves, that's when you're going to experience that term of failure and feeling. Because don't you, I mean, I don't know about you, but do you associate failure with shame? I mean, doesn't that seem to go hand in hand?
I feel like I personally feel like I have such a good relationship with failure. Like I like it because that means I'm learning.
Right.
Like talking about golf, when I go and I have a really, which is every time I play, like really bad. It's fine because I know I'm just getting better. The only way I'm going to get better is by failing forward. But I think generally speaking, overall in the world that I deal with, people are afraid of failing, and they're afraid of admitting. This topic came up. The reason I named it failed is because it's a shameful topic. People don't want to talk about their failures. They're happy to talk about their successes. But putting business owners on a hot seat in our conversation is a little different. But saying, where did you fail in business? You know, sometimes I have to really extract it. Like, tell me something that you actually did wrong. Yeah, I think there is failure directly linked to shame.
And think about this. If you're afraid to, quote, fail, that means you're going to keep yourself small. You're not going to grow.
Right.
And you definitely won't take the risks that you need. My topic or my expertise, of course, is in the relationship area. So if you think about not taking risks, you're not going to open yourself up and be vulnerable. And again, it ties back to history, people holding on to the shame of what their past was. That is the very thing that keeps them from being present in a relationship today. And we are not our past. We are not our mistakes. But if you take the approach that you were just talking about, grabbing the valuable information of what those situations, and I really want to encourage people, I know you named it failed, but I want to encourage people not to call it a failure, but information to know, don't do this and do this. And that goes back to the list that I was saying of just sitting quietly with yourself. What don't you want in your life? What do you want in your life? It's all about the clarity and information, and that past that people dread and they carry, oh my gosh, that keeps them from having the life that they really want is the exact thing, the shadow self that needs to be faced. And once they can embrace that, once they can say, yep, this is me, all of me. I used to hate to say that I was divorced. Like it was the most,
really? Oh yeah. You felt like it was a failure.
Well, it was embarrassing. It's like, why shouldn't I have known better? This is my field or whatever. But of course it happened before I was in the field, but still it was something that it was a belief in my body and my mind that held me back from actually having that compassion, having the understanding of what love really is, because I was so busy pushing away the shadow self, the part that I wanted nobody to see, instead of just embracing it like, yeah, that's me. I didn't even know better. Right. That was the role model I was given. How would anybody know better? So it prevented me from having that compassion. But when you integrate the shadow self, the parts you avoid or run from, then you can actually be a better, more whole person and offer more to other people. And of course, live a more worthy life, knowing and accept, like that self-acceptance. I can't even begin to express. It's like the opposite of failure is self-acceptance.
Yeah.
It's learning to embrace all of you and knowing that your mistake is not any bigger or smaller than anybody else's in this lifetime. Honestly, it's really true.
Well, that's the thing is I think we don't acknowledge that mistakes or failures, they happen to and by everybody. And when you are so focused on not making them yourself, you don't see that other people are doing the same thing or making the same mistake or making other mistakes. And you almost just judge yourself to, well, I have to be this level of perfection or expectation, which is totally unrealistic. It is so unrealistic. You know, I would say that Dave and I have a really good communication. Now we've worked through a lot of that, right? We've been married 20 years. That didn't start that way. And we've been to therapy in many different occasions, not because it's broken, but because we don't want it to break. And to work through all kinds of stuff, like that's just smart to do, right? Like childhood and, you know, all those things. And when we disagree about something, I expect that we disagree in a respectful manner, and he expects the same thing. But I think it's normal to have a conversation where you might not agree, and the kids can hear that conversation happen. Because if I don't want my kids to think that there's anything such as a perfect marriage where you don't have disagreements or you don't have to push each other to be a better person, right? Because that's not reality. And if they think that that's reality, they're going to be sadly mistaken when they experience it for themselves. But I want to talk about a good relationship. So talk about some of the qualities and characteristics of a really strong, healthy relationship, whether it be sibling, parent, marriage, you know, whatever. What are the things that when you work with people to work towards a strong relationship, what are some of the things that you
I love
on?
that you're role modeling for your kids, what you mentioned, that two people can have differences of an opinion and it doesn't make one bad and the other one good, or you don't have to fight for who's right. So I love that you're role modeling that you can just be different. A quality that I think is essential in a healthy relationship is that you could be your own person, have your own voice, express who you are, and be loved and accepted by your partner. And that is the best role. You're writing the script for your kids. I want everybody to understand that the way you do relationships is writing the script for your kids. And so when they see two people being able to have a discussion or a disagreement and not tear each other down and not call each other names, I mean, it's very common, sadly. And yelling in homes is way more prevalent than I would ever like. I just, as an adult and knowing what I know now, there's no reason to have to raise your voice or to yell at somebody. You could just sit and communicate. But again, it goes back to learning the communication skills, how to communicate effectively. That's something, you know, that once you master that, I think a relationship it becomes the healthy place that is safe to express who you are. So respect comes from all of those things, and that has to be present in a relationship. If you don't have respect for your partner, we're in big trouble. Think about what that means. I mean, even what you were expressing a little bit ago with you and your husband, I mean, to be married 20 years, what level of respect do you have for him, right? It's that contempt that builds up over time when there's unspoken needs, wants, and desires in a relationship. So all of what I'm saying, when you ask what goes into a healthy relationship, you have to have these different components. And what I would really love to just kind of stand on the mountaintop and scream to everybody is that you're not expected to know all these things. That's why you go to an expert to understand what you're lacking so that you're more equipped, so that you could solve problems and have conflict resolution and have beautiful communication and know that it's okay to agree to disagree. And those are I think those foundational tools and skills are the essential building blocks that build the trust that, of course, is required. Everybody says, oh, you have to have trust in a relationship. Well, how do you build trust, right? You build it by being able to be seen and heard and accepted and understood. And I don't know that anybody nowadays can just naturally have those talents and gifts unless they were really role modeled that. But if you ask the majority of people, what were your parents like? I mean, I hear it all the time. And by the way, I work with very high functioning people that come in for, like you said, tune-ups or to make sure things don't get to be that, failed or broken space, right? To keep things going. So you're not expected. How would you know that if you were not raised with all these wonderful skills and tools? These are things that you learn over time. And that's what I would hope for people to get from coming into my office is, oh, wow, like that was easy. And now we communicate so well together. So it takes a lot to make for a healthy relationship. It's not just one or two things. It's all of that, what I just mentioned.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, I think about healthy environments, and Nate Feathers was on prior to you, and we talked about, I'm going to say this word wrong. I don't even know why I'm trying to say it. Authoritarian. I think that's what he said. Oh, I said it right. I'm texting him right now. Nate, I did.
Oh, yeah, my way or the highway kind of people.
But that is, I was born in 82. He was born in 80. My husband was also born in 80. That's how we grew up in that. And my husband and I both grew up in houses where emotions were charged and raising voices was super normal. And we both had to make a decision to go, we don't want that to be how we are, and try and make that change, which neither of us are perfect. I would never say I'm a perfect parent ever. I think we try our hardest. The intention's always good to be good partners and good parents. But you have to, when you see something in your life like that, we would not have been able to overcome. I didn't know you at the time. We would not have been able to overcome that nurture. That's how we were nurtured, right? If we hadn't made the decision that, hey, this isn't going to work for us and we don't want to keep doing this. So
do you see how that goes back to my list of sitting with yourself of what I don't want and what I do want?
Exactly. Right? What do you want in your life? But sadly, that does sometimes come with this. These people can't be part of our life because they're a part of that, right? And they are no longer serving our life. And I'm not talking about my family. I'm just simply making a statement that does sometimes come with, well, these people are associated with that and I can't be in that. When you think about marriage, relationships, long-term relationships, if somebody is saying, well, I like what you're saying, Dilyse, but I'm still nervous, or my partner's not going to sign up, or I see the brokenness, right? I had a conversation with a friend not that long ago saying, we have all these issues she's telling me we have all these issues in our marriage. And I said, well, have you guys ever talked to somebody, right? I got somebody you can talk to. Well, he'll never do that.
Yeah.
How do you manage that as the partner that wants to change and wants to see change, but their partner is just not?
I would definitely equip the partner who is willing to come in to help them approach the person and the situation with to basically take away the threat in the environment. And because that's really what's happening is they're protecting themselves, right, from those fears that I talked about. So really being able to approach the person and help them understand. And again, every therapist works differently, but the way that I work is remove the threat and say something to the effect of, I can't do this alone and I'm not equipped to know how to support you and help you in the way that I would really love to. Could you at least come in for me to know and learn how to best, be a supportive partner to you? Somehow, some way, equip that person to remove the threat, because really that's the only thing in their way. They're not really resisting change, because who would resist feeling better if they knew that was the goal. And
but
that
it's
was
the work
outcome.
in the middle of it. It's the work to feel better. It's like, I don't want to lose 20 pounds because it's hard to do, even though I know I'm going to feel better when I do. It's the same. The weight isn't necessarily body weight. It's emotional weight, but it's still the process of losing that. So someone who sees that there's hope in talking to somebody, you would say, still come to me. I'll talk to you and I'll help you through that. And we'll give you the right skills to equip you to be in a place to handle that situation.
Yeah, I mean, try it. So something that I offer is for people to just call, whether I can help them or not, right? As far as coming in my practice, I'll say, call. I will point you in the right direction to get you feeling. So you're not just, feeling helpless and hopeless and stuck. Do something small. I mean, come on, we live in the age where we can push a button and learn stuff. I have people that say, somebody just said to me today, I cheated and talked to Chad about this because I can't afford a therapist. It's an alternative, right? It's a start. It's little tiny tools that you just have to know that there are answers because people just believe this is the way it's always going to be. And they're so terrified to look at the issue. And they do think, this is a myth, they do think that looking at that pain is going to cause them to relive it all over again. And that's a myth. That's a lie. Actually, looking at the situation, you could realize, oh gosh, that thing had so much power over me. And here's what I could do instead. So baby steps to answer really what you're getting at, I think, is to take the one step and see what the outcome is. See that you could take some of that pressure off of your life and your mind, and call or go or speak or listen to something that's inspirational that gets you having new information. You cannot solve the same problem with the information that you've always had. It requires new information, new ideas, and a new approach. And that doesn't have to be a threat. So baby steps, really.
I love that. A couple things I'm going to take away before I let you share how we can find you. I'm walking away from, I do the Jesus Calling devotional every day. And then I do the Bible recap with Tara Lee Cobble. And at the end, if you've ever heard it, she says every day, he's where the joy is. That's like where she ends it. So like my takeaway, and she's always like, where did you see God in today's reading? This is what I saw. And he's where the joy is. And when I think about my takeaways from this conversation, one is slow down and give yourself the space and time to be removed from all of the static and noise around you to be able to identify where the problem is. Because we're in such a stimulated world that we don't do that enough. And we're oftentimes ignoring the real problem or focusing on something different.
Focusing on what you want.
Yeah. And not working through the issue. The other thing is start with something. If you've been not ever talking to somebody to process, which I am such a fan of therapy. I think you are an expert in your field. I am not an expert. You know things I do not know. So when you and I can talk through conversations, I know I'm going to get better because you have an expert. You have 20 plus years of doing this and I have 0 years of doing this. I'm going to learn from you. The ego has to be in check and go, yes, I want to be the best version of myself. I need experts in my corner and you are that expert in relationships and mindset and mastery. Start with something small. That could just be
a phone call,
going to your website and looking up one of your free resources to say, I'm going to start here and understand that if you want to see change, you have to start making change. Yes, absolutely. Very beautifully said. And the main, do you want to know where people can find me?
Yes, please tell us where we can find you.
Yeah.
I do have like I said, I just made a free masterclass with Mr. Jim and he filmed it with Ben.
So awesome. And
it's 3 tools that again are foundational tools. But anyway, my website is DylyseDiaz.com, DILYSEDIAZ.com. And I do virtual sessions and I do in-person sessions. So just definitely, you'll see my website has all the information. And like I said, I really genuinely meant what I said, where I care about people. So even if you don't want to actually start the therapeutic process, I will spend my time, give you some tools and some tips of how to get moving in the right direction, because I want everybody to feel better and happier. Because one thing I do not understand, I just don't, is that why would you stay miserable or settle when things could feel so much better?
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm here for.
It's your life. You only have one. So
That's
go
right.
take control of it, right?
Oh my
Dilyse,
gosh.
you have so much to offer. We could spend hours talking, but you've
you.
given so many great nuggets and tools today. So thank you. Thank you for your friendship, for your expertise, for sharing. And I'm so grateful for you listeners. Go find Dilyse. Go use the free resources. Check her out. There are tools there that are going to help you change your life, master your mindset, and become the best version of yourself for you and for others. Thank you for tuning in to the Lyndsay Stafford Show. If you found value in this today, we ask that you share it, like it, comment, rate, review, and go check out our visitors website
Thank you for
today.
being so amazing. I just love you.
I love you too. Thanks for being here.